provide additional
Look at
traction
Cheetah.
and therefore
Look at that Cheetah.
when extended. Importantly, they greatly increase both the damage and
nigga
grappling
riding that
capability of
motherfucker.
these
He
fields.
riding that
This
motherfucker.
grappling can be
Hey, y'all go fuck with my Twitch, man. Come on now. We finna start streaming soon, so make sure y'all go follow that. Run it up. Love y'all. Kissies. What's good, DLC? How you doing, family? Man, back again with another video. Our Claws OP is by Tiered Zoo. It's just something I want to try out. I bangs with animals, bruh. My favorite animal probably like a cheetah. Yeah, I fuck with cheetahs, bruh. Like them super fast motherfuckers, boy. Them niggas is hard. But nah, let's hop into the video. That's a fox in it. Oh, what the fuck? So, Eagle's beating the fox?
When speccing your character, it's important to choose equipment that integrates well with your chosen build's combat style and minimizes its inherent vulnerabilities. Weapons like horns and fangs are capable of inflicting massive damage, but using them in
impaled that
battle can
nigga.
leave a player vulnerable to counterattacks,
Damn.
and their value is mostly limited to 1v1 situations.
Oh, what the fuck?
Balancing the risk and damage potential of launching an attack is a key strategic consideration when equipping any
Yeah,
type
so
of
for it.
weapon. So today we'll discuss one that comes as a standard feature on many of the most viable builds in the game: claws.
Like
Claws are
Wolverine.
versatile, close-range weapons that can be used for offense or defense without sacrificing much in terms
Oh,
of
that nigga
mobility.
gone.
They do require the user to get somewhat close to an enemy to launch an attack, but due to the low end lag on most standard slashing and swiping claw strikes, these tend to be one of the safest attack options a player has access to. Unlike some other weapons, claws can usually be regenerated if damaged, allowing
What
them
the
to
fuck?
be used.
This nigga just
Unlike
took
some
off his
other
whole
weapons,
arm.
Claws can usually be regenerated if damaged, allowing them to be used freely with
Wow.
minimal risk. Claws can be used against multiple enemies at once if the build has decent mobility, making them an
shit.
excellent choice for generalists and tanks alike. They can also be specialized into a variety of secondary perks that allow the user to climb, dig, or run at extreme speeds without slipping.
That's what's
Claws
up.
can be optimized for piercing, slashing, or crushing damage depending on which basic type you spec into. While some members of the Arthropod faction have tiny hooked claws that are used for the mobility perks alone, others equip pincher-type claws called Keelay that can inflict massive crushing damage. The size of Keelay relative to the user's body varies between build classes, but they can be used in combat even on the smaller end due to the additional perk of being able to immobilize opponents.
Nah, that's
Crustacean
crazy.
builds like crabs and lobsters can use claws to crush or dismember prey, a devastating attack if it
Okay, my question is, so you telling me that's a big ass fucking crab? Hold up. This shit is huge. But no, so you telling me if like a crab went up against a lion, right? And the lion only took like an arm. That arm is growing back? If so, that's hard. That's pretty much OP. That's like a starfish. That's crazy.
connects, though it can be fairly easily dodged by more mobile players.
Miss.
Scorpions can use their claws to inflict knockback, or as a physical barrier to keep an enemy away from their vitals, but they also enable them to use an extremely powerful grappling combination move. While an enemy is immobilized in their claws, scorpions use their flexible stingers to inflict massive piercing and venom damage. This attack is more effective than crushing alone, but the trade-off between physical power and venom potency means that some scorpions are still weak against builds that can deflect or withstand their stings. Instead of modifying entire limbs into crushing pinchers, many tetrapod builds can equip individual claws to each digit and then use them to inflict piercing or slashing damage.
Bears are so
Reptile
OP,
and
bro.
mammal builds that spec into claws usually equip them to all 4 limbs, using them for
I
combat
fucking
as
love
well as their
wolves.
broad array of secondary functions.
Wait, is that a stink? I said stink. A skunk? Skunks are OP like that? My fucking side itch, bro. Fuck. Don't judge me. Is that a skunk? Skunks are like that? Or is that a honey badger?
Yes. Tetrapod builds in earlier expansions experimented with a variety of claw specializations, with Therizinosaurus dumping the most evolution points into the trait of any
Damn,
build
get
in
back,
history.
bitch.
These giant curved claws were primarily used to hook and pull vegetation in order to access the best loot, but they served the secondary function of being used to attack or intimidate predators in a similar strategy to that of anteaters in the current meta. Megatherium is another example of a build that went all in on claws, but theirs were specialized to withstand the impacts of intense digging, and thus were much more powerful in combat as a result.
Fuck.
Although Megatherium were large enough to repel most enemies using intimidation alone, succeeding in a meta where Smilodon were the apex predators meant that their claws needed to be ready for serious action when necessary. While Thenocerosaurus and Megatherium are no longer playable builds, the basic tetrapod claw specializations that they pioneered are still influential in today's meta.
What's a sloth?
While some mammal
is that
variants
Komodo
spec
dragon?
into nails or hooves instead, claws are still an extremely common limb
fuck
equipment
with
choice
sloths.
and are used for everything from climbing and foraging to attacking enemies. Digging is a common specialization for mammal players, with builds like the armadillo and anteater leveraging their claws to access hard-to-reach resources. At the extreme end of this ability, moles use their long, thick claws and sensory modifications to complete their entire playthroughs in subterranean maps, where they can farm out invertebrate players for XP. Other mammal builds spec
that's
into lighter claws to preserve dexterity and use them more in a
Is
general
that nigga doing a split?
but this means they can only inflict minor scratch damage in combat situations. The cloven hooves of even-toed ungulate builds like pigs and deer technically are claws as well, which add cutting edges to already powerful limbs and increase the damage inflicted by kicks. Mammals in the Carnivora faction all have claws, but only some are fully dependent on them to take down enemies. Felids have extremely sharp claws that retract when not in use,
that's
conserving
awesome.
their durability and allowing them to move silently when preparing to ambush an opponent. These claws provide additional
Look at
traction
cheetah.
and their
Look at that
formidable
cheetah.
when extended. Importantly, they greatly increase both the damage and
nigga
grappling
riding that
capabilities
motherfucker.
of these
He
felids.
riding that
This
motherfucker.
grappling can be used in a deadly combination where claws immobilize an opponent
Oh, it's
so the
over with.
user
It's
can
over with.
safely inflict lethal bite damage. They're also remarkably effective for climbing,
Look at them.
which opens up
See a
access to
demon.
areas of the map that other carnivore builds can't reach. With some of the best speed and power stats in the game, felids are absolute killing machines.
Ain't nobody
that
touching
use
no
claws
cheetah.
to decimate bird and mammal player bases. For builds which lack the ability to retract their claws,
Is that a bear?
the repeated contact with
Oh,
the ground
fuck.
causes them to become dull and less useful for climbing or combat, but they do still provide solid mobility bonuses.
Look at that wolf.
Since bird forelimbs are modified into wings, most avian builds can only equip functional claws to their feet. Hoatzins have the unique ability. Avian builds can only equip functional claws to their feet.
That nigga
Hoatzins have
swole.
the unique ability to equip claws to their forelimbs that are used for climbing. But this ability is shed at higher levels, in favor of flight, and all other birds are restricted to hind limb claws only. While this may seem like a limitation, members
Weird
of the
flex,
raptor
but okay.
faction use their claws and wings in conjunction to carry out some of the deadliest ambush attacks in the game. Their absolutely busted sensory abilities and mobility
Nah, but like I would never would have thought that a bald eagle could pick up a fox.
stats
And
allow
just
them to
fly
attack
away like
before
it's
an
nothing.
opponent can even detect their presence,
Damn.
impaling them with sharp talons before they have time to react and counterattack. However, raptor legs are relatively short and their wings can't deal much damage in their own right, which limits their ability to counterattack when an enemy launches an attack on the ground or from behind. In a major departure from the typical avian playstyle, some birds dump evolution points into their legs and feet at the expense of their flight ability. This strategy hinges on having a high enough run speed to evade most enemies, and enough power in their legs to disembowel enemies with dagger-like claws when challenged. Both types
that's
of avian
crazy.
builds can be viable against certain opponents, but their inability to inflict much damage with their wings leaves them vulnerable to rushdown and more powerful builds, and underscores the benefits of
what
having
the
claws
fuck?
equipped to all four limbs. Claws are an excellent weapon choice for players with the flexibility and limb lengths needed to maximize their threat range. But even on less mobile builds, they're still well worth the investment. These versatile weapons
Here
are
are the
at their
claws.
best when they're used either as a safe, non-committal attack to chip away at an opponent, or as part of a grappling combination
Oh, woolly mammoth?
that anchors an opponent in place, while additional
Ooh,
damage
what the
is inflicted
fuck?
by either teeth or
Oh
stingers.
shit.
As the top tier claw users, felids are definitely OP. as they have pretty much the perfect setup to maximize the utility of their highly specialized claws.
Sheesh.
So don't expect to immediately skyrocket up the tier list the moment you spec into the claws trait, as the Felid class may be a bit of an outlier. However, claws are still a valuable addition to almost any build that can equip them, and cost very little in terms of evolution points considering how many new options and strategies they can add to a character. On the subject of claws, you may have noticed that I didn't discuss one of the game's most famous claws in this video. On that note, I have a bit of an announcement. I've been secretly working on something big, my own 3D animation studio. I want to make one of the best educational wildlife shows ever, and finally answer the types of questions that I constantly get asked. Who would win in a fight between... well, I mean, take your pick. So far, I've been limited in what I've been able to show on this channel, since many animals never meet, and are separated by either distance or time. Through the magic of 3D animation, I want to bring these confrontations to life for all of you to witness. The first episode will pit one of history's most lethal claws against one of prehistory's most deadly fangs.
Ooh, saber-tooth
I've been
tiger.
working super hard, and although the first episode isn't quite ready, it'll be premiering on Nebula soon, and I don't want you to miss it.
What's a nebula?
Many of you know by now that Tears has been a longtime partner of Nebula, a creator-owned streaming service whose mission is to empower creators to make high-budget content that they couldn't otherwise. Well, I'm no exception, and I'm really shooting for the moon here. So please, check out the sponsor of today's video.
Hold on now. No ads? No pre-roll ads. No need to skip what isn't there. Yeah, no ad. What?
Video, the Nebula Curiosity Stream bundle. Curiosity Stream has thousands of amazing non-fiction titles on there already for you to check out while amazing Dino World. Brings Battle of Brit on the Nebula side of things, real-life Lore's
Gravity
Modern
Falls?
Conflict series, and Real Engineering's one of the best. If you like it, and thanks for watching.
Alright, Sean, man, that's the end of that video. I like these videos now. I'm gonna have to start checking, get this video to 5 likes and we'll go watch another one. Type shit. So, 5 likes, we'll go back and watch another one. Man, make sure y'all like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. I'm making it so that I post every 2 days now. Every 2 days. So, you'll see an upload, one day will go by, and then there'll be another upload. Okay? That's what I'm trying to do for y'all. So, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, man. Turn on post notifications. Like the video. And tell you, share this with the people you know and you don't know, because they gonna like this for sure, man. I'm telling you. Hey, man, I'm out. Peace.